Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith in the Black Quant VTF at T3 Live, and it's time when we get to the end of the year, although we got a few more days left, to have some macro levels for the new year. So, oftentimes, at the end of the year, we go take a look and see if there's anything that is in the macro that most people don't even look at monthly and weekly charts. But when we get to the longer term stuff, these levels are going to matter too because these are still equilibriums. The technical mechanics are going to be a little different on a shorter term basis. Yes, you'll have guys getting stopped out, and on macro stuff, it's not normally how it works. So you're going to have a whole year of guys stops in the same place, but it's still important equilibrium breaks because it tells us where these macro levels are that people are positioned on the wrong side. Now you got a lot more folk positioned on the wrong side when they attempt to break some of this stuff out. So let's start with the quarterlies. And as far as the Dow Jones is concerned, Cisco right now would be an inside quarter against these highs. So the next 3 months, the high 31.89, the low 29.12, and outside of that, you got yourself a quarterly break. BBRY. I know she's a pig, but it's going to go on the year. We'll get to that when we get to the annual. We go to eBay. eBay inside quarter here. And the high is 33.03 with the low 27.28. Watching that. You've got Exxon if we're going to get more Dow Jones and Earls inside quarter for the Exxon. And the high of that's going to be 93.22 and the low 82.76 for the next 3 months or more in case they go inside quarter. Yahoo! Inside quarter right here, stuck in the middle of this range here. So it goes up, goes down, comes right back in the middle here. Eventually, it's got to take a shot at that, and it's nowhere near it, unfortunately. But as it drops back in, inside quarter for Yahoo, 44.08. 38.24 as of now, but it's close to that, taking out that a little bit lower, so you're going to be aware of that as well. CTSH here, inside quarter as well. You're going high 58.50, low 48.50. You're going to know about all these levels if you trade any of this stuff. Sarepta, yowzer, the monster inside quarter, which could easily set up for more inside, but you can see that. So that's just kind of fun. Whole Foods. Whole Foods been sitting down here for a long time. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters stuck in this range, and now going inside quarter here. So Whole Foods above 32.80 or below 27.86. RH, another disaster here, but now inside quarter. So 6 months completely within this bars range. So this initial break would be above 39.28 or below 27.50. Diamond Offshore, if there's any hope in the Earls. And you see how many quarters of this thing's been doing there. So what it is here, high of 22.65, low of 15.16, and that's a nice range of either zero or a big old comeback. BIIB, and we know how these bios have been going inside, and you can see this inside quarter here was nice, the peak. So now inside quarter here for BIIB with the high of 329.83 and a low of 268er. If we go to WebMD, going to be real interesting here as I get to the yearly charts. But here, inside quarter for WebMD as of now, although it's getting close. So WebMD would be an inside shooter here, below 48.26. If it doesn't break that this week, and the high would be 54.99 to get above that. If we go to more bio, BMRN. And like I said, those bios with IBB going inside month, there's a whole bunch to keep an eye on here, and I'll get to that in a second. But here, you're inside quarter, high of 98.34 with a low of 78.42. Sina, here, inside quarter here. Still need to get outside of that thing, even if it breaks to the downside, but certainly want to respect these levels. High 80.63, low 61.82. Leg Mason, and you'd think that this thing would be getting it going, but it hasn't as yet. So we'll keep an eye on LM with the high of 34.35 and a low 28.10. Financials. If we go to CP Rail on the trannies, and there's still some room for some of these rails to go hit the highs of the trannies want to keep going in the longer term. So you can see this, if this is corrective activity, hammer, and then still trying to walk up. Inside quarter for CP Rail with the low of 139.29 and a high of 156.71. PBYI, more bio. You see how trouble this thing's having, getting closer to the downside. But as of right now, the high would be 68.05 and the low of 32. ACIA, oh, how they want to buy her on the way down. Well, you got your inside quarter and close to the lows of it, so you'd have quite a run here to try and get out of here. I think the best thing you'd want is to poke down, come back up, and go RevStrat. But the high was 116.50 with a low 61.80 for that inside quarter. Polaris here, and you can see this is dropped, so the question is going to go down, sideways, measured move, and get worse, or is this the corrective activity to try and go back? Right now, inside quarter Polaris below 73.07 or above 92.50. Then if we go to the RevStrat quarters, and this is going to be a group that you've heard about, the retail, and you got Gap Stores, RevStrat quarter, inside bar, counter to shooter. Here, that would go RevStrat below 21.57, and it's getting closer. If you go to Macy's, RevStrat quarter to the downside, and if this continues like that, so that would be RevStrat quarter below 34.80. Like I said, if it doesn't hit these things by the end of the week, and Nordstrom, RevStrat quarter here below 48.01, although you're right close there, so you have to go to the end of the year to get exact on that. If we go to now, much maligned Nike tries to go RevStrat quarter to the upside here, and that would be RevStrat quarter above 53.35, and it's close, so we'll have to watch that at the end of the year, but it's getting close. You know it, you love it. Here she comes, Tesla, RevStrat quarter. Inside quarter here, encountered with hammer, and above the high of 22.15.67. So it's right there. That could expand that as well, so just have to wait for the end of the year, but ACAD is a RevStrat quarter to the upside here too in the bios. If they want to try and get these bios going, and that goes RevStrat quarter above 31.70 as of now. GameStop in the retail, if there's any hope, would go RevStrat, a hammer counters inside bar shooter above 27.86 QEP, and that's Earl. It's an outside bar hammer, so that's a one bar RevStrat, but because if it stays a hammer, that's still a RevStrat above 21.12, but it would have to stay above that because an outside bar is fractal triangle, although it drops back in, so once it's above that, it's got to stay there. Cardinal Health. Here you can see this quarterly range forever, but now tries to take all these levels down. But now if it can reclaim that with the hammer countering the inside, that would go RevStrat above 77.57. If we get to the annual list, you got Ford Motor Company going inside on the year. Inside on the year. The high of 14.22 and a low of 11.02. General Motors, the same. Inside year. High of 37.74, low of 26.69. You've got Nike with the RevStrat quarter inside year combo, although it's going to be a tall order to go take this baby out, but you got a RevStrat quarter, so either it fails the RevStrat quarter, breaks the inside year, or tries to take that quarter up. We shall see. BBRY, yep, still alive. It was inside quarter and inside year. Low of 623 and a high of 922 if they're ever going to do anything with that. Southwest, SWN in the Natty, even if it takes it up, you got a big dumper year here to try and get out of, otherwise it's going down to zero, but we'll respect either side of that. 530 on the downside, 1559 on the upside, so she's got a ways to go either way there. So GPOR, and this thing in the energy has been having a tough time still, even with the energy rally. You can see this, and now trying to go inside year momentum shooter to the downside, and that would be below 21. If you go to Walmart here going inside year, and the reason that's important is if you go to the monthly, it's a little high on that, but potentially RevStrat month to the downside to try and trigger the inside year down. But it's got a ways to get down to that year, but still, it is what it is. A couple more in the retail. Starbucks, inside year near the highs, and so inside year, high 61.79, low 50.84. Kroger, inside year, and you can see some of these big ranges. Still got to get out of them because the problem is when you close here in your middle of this stuff, you're nowhere near taking that stuff out. But we've got a long time and a whole year to see when they start getting towards these levels. High 42.42, low 28.71. coach, inside quarter, so inside year, above 43.71 or below 30.06. That would also be momentum shooter if they want to finish the purses off. We'll see. XLV goes inside year here, and that's going to give us a lot of names over there, like I was talking about with the IBB and stuff. You got AbbVie going inside year, above 68.12, low of 50.71. You're going to have Celgene going inside year, potential momentum hammer if they want to finally perk it up. But inside year, high of 127, low of 93.05. You've got Amgen going inside year with a high of 176.85, low of 133.64. Humana going inside year and getting back toward the highs though here. Humana high 217.80, low 150. EGRX, more bio here, and that's trying to go hammer, and that would be hammer above 88.47 or all the way down to 33.02. So you can see some of these big ranges. You go to Mondelez coming up and trying to go yearly momentum hammer here, and that would be above 46.40 as of right now, or it breaks it down 35.88 if they really crush it. You know what you love at Netflix, inside year Momo hammer for the Netflix if they want to finally take her up. And so right now, this inside year Momo hammer high would be 129.29 with a low of 79.95. Valero and the energies trying to go inside year momentum hammer. That would take out the momentum hammer as of right now, 72.49. But we're getting close to that. Keep an eye on that over the course of where we go out for the end of the year. Low 46.88. And finally, for some more trannies, JetBlue inside year, high of 23.67, low of 14.76. Spirit Airlines also goes inside year, and that's real close to taking it to the upside right now. It's a high of 60.40 with a low of 35.17. And Southwest Air here still didn't quite make the highs, although we got another few days left, but that would be inside year, and a high of 51.31 if it wants to take it out. If we go to WebMD, not only was that inside quarter, but that's potential RevStrat downside year if it takes the quarter and the year down here. Inside bar counter with a shooter, and that would kick in below 45.46. We also have LYB. Would be RevStrat year to the upside. Inside year countered with, remember, this some really long-term stuff, and you can see for 3 years this thing's just stuck in here. But that would be RevStrat year to the upside above 93.75. Splunk, SPLK, and here's that inside month, or inside year, and then countered with the hammer above 65.75. MDC, home building related, if the home builders get to going. RevStrat year here, inside countered with the hammer above 27.59. So I know these are some big ranges and big stuff to keep an eye on, but everything matters. And so when you start thinking, remembering of these things, when things start kicking in, the more signals, the more better, because what that shows us is where participation groups are have been entering the market and where they're going to be underwater. And so then we can take all this information, we can shrink it down, and get down to those months, weeks, days, and even fivers. And so that's going to do it for today. So that's just a little touch of the macro look coming into 2017. All right, I'm Russ with the Black Quant Edge VTF here at T3 Live.